Welcome to the Alumni Podcast. Joining us today is Huynh, published author. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Jenifer. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you tell me a little bit about what you've been up to?
Oh, gosh. So it's pretty exciting. After graduating back in 2018, a lot has happened. So I became a technical writer with a cybersecurity firm, DefLogix. It's a small organization, but it's been around since 2008. And I also I'm currently now serving as president of the Rotary Club of Alamo Ranch, which is an international humanitarian organization. So we have a lot of service projects all over the town. Sometimes they're environmental, sometimes it's with Haven for Hope, just a lot of different causes. So it's been really amazing. And I've been serving as the vice president, I've been serving as VPPR for public relations for the Toastmasters Club. But you mentioned that I was an author, and I published back in, I started writing during 2020, during the pandemic. Oh. So at the time I was actually struggling with COVID. Oh. And I thought, oh gosh, what if I die? Like, what would the last thing that I would want to do? And I love to write. I graduated with a degree in IT and minored in English, but before Texas A&M, I was an English lit major at UT Austin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I love to write. I love to read. The library was my second home, and I have a fondness for words. So I interviewed with a publisher, and it was really interesting because I just wanted to learn more about the experience. I didn't go in with the intention that I would get a book deal out of it because I just wanted to learn more about it. And I interviewed with this gentleman. He was a former Marine, and he was highly successful. Like, he managed to make millions of dollars in his 20s. And I was just blown away. But we talked about a lot of different things. We talked about Viktor Frankl, who is an author of The Search for Meaning. It was a purposeful life, but he was a Holocaust survivor in Auschwitz, and he was a psychiatrist. And we just talked about a lot of things in history, and we hit it off, and he gave me a book deal, and I just wrote. And actually, it's a co-author situation where 29 other authors participated in this book. So that's a little bit in a nutshell.
That's really cool. Did you get to meet all of these other authors, or how did that work?
We got to meet them online, virtually, at least a few of them. So we were on like a Facebook page, and it was just amazing because all of these people are from all over the world, business people in so many different industries. And I got to interact with them in conversations. And we joke about, hey, if we're in town in your area, we'd love to meet up sometime, because each of us had an opportunity to have our picture on a book cover leading their own book. So if you didn't connect with my story, there's 29 other stories in there. But I like to think that you would connect, so.
That's cool. Have you met personally with anyone? Like, did someone come to San Antonio and meet? Or
I think I've met one of the women. She was part of a different segment of the book series, and she was a domestic violence survivor. And I got to meet her here in San Antonio, and it was a really big deal. And I'm even getting chills right now just thinking about that moment. But it's really special when you can meet other authors. You've read their stories, but to meet them in person and just be grateful for the story they shared. So.
Yeah, I think although maybe y'all had written about different things, it's still a community because y'all are all writers and authors.
Yeah, no, it's definitely special, because you think with writing it seems like such a solitary activity, but it's really special when you get to read other people's stories, suddenly connect and realize you're not alone. So the topic in the story is, even though it's breakthrough leadership, what the publisher gentleman told me was to describe a moment in your life that you had a really difficult time. You might have hit rock bottom. And what are the things, what did you do to get back up again, to keep moving forward in life? And I was thinking a moment, and I was like, wow, there was a moment. Yeah, it was back in like 2009, and I was going through a lot. This was when I was like in my final year at UT Austin, and I was transitioning, and I didn't finish up there. I graduated here at Texas A&M, but I was really lost trying to find my way, and but I was going through a little bit of depression, which might be normal for a lot of students if they're on the right path. And what happened was I was thinking of my uncle, who was a soldier, and he shared some amazing stories of resilience, and I shared that in my chapter. So
That's wonderful. So you said you continued and graduated here at TMUSA at Texas A&M University San Antonio.
yeah.
Can you tell me about how you were involved on campus? You said you were really involved. I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was really special when I was a student at UT Austin. I was kind of a small fish in a really big pond. It was hard to have any leadership opportunities because there was a lot of other students there who were competing for the same roles.
Yes.
And I'm really happy for them, but I was also excited that here at TMUSA I found my own opportunities in leadership. So I got involved with a lot of different groups. One of them was, there was the Catholic Student Association. Faith is part of my life, and that was a pretty active group. We had a lot of service together. And we also had the environmental group. I love plants, I love trees, I love to take care of them. I hosted an environmental speaker series during World Water Day and Earth Day week. And I invited a lot of professionals in the community, and they could have been like water lawyers, other scientists, and other individuals to come and speak to the students about various different topics. That was a fun project for me. I was part of Guild of Geeks. I don't know if they're still around. It kind of might have morphed into like the esports group now, but back then it was Guild of Geeks, and that was a lot of fun because I enjoy the power of animation and anime in general. It's a really big thing here in San Antonio, but across the world too. And I was interested, there's a storytelling aspect in the Guild of Geeks. It's interesting to learn from the stories of these cartoon characters, and people might underestimate just what these stories can tell, but there's a lot of values there. And that was amazing because what we did was during Christmas time, I think we decorated a window, and I think we won a prize to eat lunch with the president of the university at the time, Dr. Cynthia Matson. So it was really amazing for them to get to experience that.
That's really cool. So you were there?
Yeah, I think I delivered pizza. I think I had a lot of other things. I was part of a business fraternity as well,
Yes.
Delta Sigma Pi. And that was really good for me because from the connections that I built there, it led me to where I work full-time now in my cybersecurity degree. So when I was having trouble looking for work and understanding, I kind of tapped back into the student organizations that I knew. And one of the ladies, she worked with logistics, and she told me about a job fair that was specialized for cleared individuals, cybersecurity focused. And it was out at this hotel somewhere, and I was like, well, I took a certificate course with the Army here at TMUSA. I can add it to my resume. I've taken some of these courses. There wasn't really a cybersecurity degree at that time, but I was interested in exploring more. So I added these courses that were relevant so that I can give my resume to the job fair people and say, hey, can I participate? And so they, yeah, that's the thing about your resume is that you can tailor it however you need for the situation. And I saw the situation and path, and I thought, well, let me add some of these courses, what I'm currently working on as a student in school. And so the lady at the front, she was like, oh, I see. Come on in. So I got to meet all these employers in the cybersecurity space, and it was just really amazing because I met people from just all sorts of different professionals at different levels in their career. And so it was a great opportunity to learn more about the space and field. And that's where I met my current employer. So it's really awesome.
Wow. I'm sorry, you just have very different interests. You said like cybersecurity is something you were interested in, and then you're also a writer, and that's very
disparate.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to know how I got to that point?
I would love that.
So back in high school, I went to a vocational high school in Irving, Texas called, well, now it's called Jackie Singley Academy, but at the time it was the Academy of Irving ISD, and they recently went through change, but it was almost a brand new school, 2 years old, high school. I wasn't sure if I was going to accept it because it was a lottery system, and I just applied because otherwise I would have gone to my home campus, right, which is a traditional high school. But this was a really awesome opportunity, and I got accepted. It was a lottery system, so I had no idea what would it be. Kind of a bummer, right? You think there's a lot of people who are interested, and maybe they'll refine their selection process later. But at the time, I think the medical field was like packed, and so I went with my second option, which was advanced technology. And I got involved with electronics technology and programming, and it was just really exciting to like build programs, learn how to build robots. I was working with programs that were equipment that was used in the Navy. Wow. And so it was just an awesome opportunity as a high school student. And cybersecurity was kind of still a fresh field. Like it wasn't really around that time, but programming was and IT was. So technology was just like burgeoning, I think. And it was interesting because I had such an awesome time there, participated in like Skills USA competitions, got to test, kind of flex my skills in action and just see how it worked. And it was just really awesome. I was like first place in like the district level. Yeah. And then like I took a silver second place at the state level. So that was just really exciting. And I just realized that I was just really passionate about technology. But during this time, and I told you, like the library was like my second home. Growing up as a kid, I enjoyed writing, and I had this awesome high school English teacher, Mrs. Welch. I will never forget her. She made English so exciting for me, and I wasn't anticipating it. Like she made it just alive, and you know how it is when you meet teachers that just spark an interest in something for you. So when I got to apply for college, and I applied for UT Austin, and I thought I was going to go into electrical engineering field, but it seemed like it was packed. And so I got accepted into the liberal arts field in English literature. So I was like, well, this is really exciting because I was still passionate about literature, even though I just finished this like technical program in high school and everything. And it's the best times of my life. And I continue doing some English courses here at Tamusa, but I've been around to different schools. So that's kind of how that sort of intersects. So now I'm a technical writer for a cybersecurity firm. So it's reading and writing and technology and cybersecurity together.
It's a combination.
Yeah.
That's really great. They really combined for you, and you're doing what you love.
It worked really well.
Yeah. Um, you're also very active in the community in general. Can you tell me more about how you got involved with these nonprofits?
Yeah, so I first encountered the Rotary Club of Alamo Ranch. There was a student that I met here through, it must have been like a technical program. He was in one of my classes, and one day I was walking with one of my friends to class, and I saw him selling these little pop figurines, the big bobbleheads. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Why? And he's like, oh, I have quite the collection of pop figurines, and I'm just selling them to students. And so I was like, oh, this is really cool. And we connected on Facebook, and I noticed that he had a Rotary shirt that he wore in his profile picture. And I was like, oh, what's that? And he's like, why don't you come and find out? So at the time I was living on the south side. Alamo Ranch is kind of really far up northwest near Northwest Vista College, out in that area. But I was really interested in learning more about it. And I found out that this is an organization that's been around since the 1900s, early 1900s. It's been around for a long time. And I noticed that this particular Rotary Club was just involved with so many different community events. They were in the middle of organizing a health fair, bringing resources to people in the community, more information and sharing that. They were doing clothing drives. They were just doing so much and tackling challenges in the community that they have identified and getting together and providing a solution. And I was just really inspired by that. And I think it was just interesting for me to think about, because when I was a kid, I thought about all the times when different community leaders ended up helping me and my family out. It could have just been providing glasses for me, or school supplies, or just in little ways. And I thought, well, this is my opportunity to give back.
Right.
After the community has poured into me, I just pay it forward, right? And so I saw Rotary as one of the outlets for that. And so we've done so much with Habitat for Humanity, building homes. We've volunteered at the food bank. We've collected things for the Ronald McDonald House, which is a charity. We made comfort bags to help support parents who had kids in the hospital and things like that. So many projects, and I could go on and on and on. But what I love is that we are always assessing to see if there's a need in the community and seeing what we can do. And there's over 30 Rotary clubs here in San Antonio. So if Alamo Ranch is not in your area, there's certainly a lot of other things too.
Right. So. Wow, okay. I guess I'll look for one in my area.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really impactful. That's, I don't know, that's like a community helping the community.
Yeah, for sure. It's amazing what a few thoughtful citizens can do. I just finished up with a school supply distribution, and I was learning more about the guy who started, because it was like the 11th annual year, and our Rotary Club just paid a piece in gathering 150 backpacks full of supplies for the kids to help them get started for the school year. And I learned that it all started with a barber who cuts hair, and he just wanted to leave an impact in his community. And he provided free haircuts to the kids that day. And he's been doing this for 11 years, and it's grown and grown and grown. So I was just amazed how one individual got his friends together, got the community together to be able to help. That this past weekend, we helped over 300 kids with supplies, with socks, with different things, haircuts, manicures. And that's over 100 families here in San Antonio.
Yeah.
All started with one vision, one guy who wanted to help in the community. So I get really revved up by stuff like that. So
it makes sense. That is such a big impact. And because someone decided to have the idea of trying to help the community, it inspires a lot of other people like it happened to you.
Yeah, yeah. He had a lot of different sponsors, HEB, just so many different groups decided to participate. And that's a really special thing where you get all sorts of organizations with different values, different backgrounds, but they can all come together, united for a cause to help the kids and the next generation succeed. So,
Yeah. Well, I also know you were an alumni award.
oh, yeah.
About that.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that?
That experience,
Yes,
that
yes.
time, that moment. Golly, that was such a big honor. I think at the time I was sharing with the committee what I was working on. I wanted to share, wow, this is everything that's happened since graduation.
Yes.
And at the time, I think I wasn't really, I guess I just wanted to share it, I think, at the time. And when I received this honor, wow, it was such a huge milestone for me, too. Because I thought about when I have graduated, I just felt like I had such this winding tale of what was going on, and I wasn't sure if I was doing well or not. And I just felt like, wow, I'm getting recognized that I finally did make it. And it was just a really big thing. And it was also great for my family to be there and share that moment with me, because I wasn't sure if, when I left UT, I wasn't sure if I was going to go back to school. So for me to say that I was a college graduate and I'm doing well now, and it just, a lot of people in my life were just really inspired by that. And it was great to share it with them. And I had so much to say during that time. It was a really beautiful moment. So
That's great. I'm glad you were able to have that moment. I think there's a lot of people who graduate and they're still feeling maybe a little confused about where to go next. And I think hearing from people like you, alumni, who have been through this is really going to help them feel like
less alone.
Yes, they're
Yeah.
not the only one.
Yeah, it's really amazing when you graduate. I mean, it's amazing here that Texas A&M provides structure, a great learning experience, a safe space so that you can grow. And I grew so much. I took advantage of all these opportunities that were available here in the school. But then once I graduated, it was a pretty scary time. It was a lot about learning about how to apply for work and network, and to have the persistence and the resilience to keep pushing forward. It seemed like an easy thing for me to say that, oh, I went to the cybersecurity fair, I got a job. But no, it wasn't really like that. It took me creating extra study sessions with other alumni to keep sharpening our skills. It took us to keep studying for certifications together. It was not something that I could do by myself. I had to rely on the Career Center to help navigate, to help inform me of different things going on in town. And it was just tracking all of the jobs that I did apply for earlier before that one. There's so much to learn about that process. So, but you don't have to do it alone. The important thing is to always lean into your community, lean into your tribe, know that there's people out there who want you to succeed. So.
Thank you for that. That was amazing. Do you have any advice for people who might want to become published authors?
Ooh. So it's interesting because before I got that opportunity, like after I graduated from college, I was blogging.
Oh.
So I used to do a lot of journaling and wrote there. But one day my boyfriend noticed that I was applying for all these jobs, tailoring my resumes, and I was like, kind of like, what am I what am I doing, right? But then he was like, so I know that you like to write. Why don't you blog? And so I started like a blog on WordPress. It was really basic at first. I started sharing, hey, I'm a recent graduate of this school. I just attended a bubble sort algorithm panel at my school, actually, and seeing what these students are up to. And I just started sharing my experiences, sharing my thoughts. I started getting to know the broader writing community outside of just on WordPress. There's so many authors out there that are creating content. And so I just started reading and participating in some of they had like different creative exercises that we can participate in together. And eventually that blog grew. I have over like 30,000 views on my blog. And it grew because I was participating. I was writing, and it didn't have to be the perfect story. Like, it was just me responding to different writing prompts, just making sure that I was exercising that. And so at the time, my writing life was pretty active by the time that I had that opportunity to be a published author. I found, I connected with this individual who was a trainer for my business, actually. I haven't even touched upon that yet. But I remember attending like a personal development training, and he was one of the trainers, and he had this sort of publishing house. I subscribed to some of his newsletters, and one day he said that he was sharing this opportunity, and who would like to be an author? And I was like, well, I don't know anything about that. Why don't I learn more? And it was an awesome opportunity. Yeah. And there's opportunities to do self-publishing on like Kindle. What is it? I think it's like a Kindle Press. I probably get back to you on that. KDP, I think. KDP, you can actually do your own publishing, create your own book covers. I have a lot of friends who are self-published, like they're self-published poets, and they just, if you have a story you want to share, you don't have to go through like a publishing house or anything like that, because that can get kind of pricey, I guess. I was fortunate to receive the deal that I got. But yeah, no, if you want to like publish a story, there's nothing stopping you from self-publishing either, and sharing that with the greater community, hosting your own book launch. You can always start somewhere. I think that when I was in the middle of writing the book, I was already primed to write because I was already blogging and writing beforehand. So it was like it came out so easily that by the time that I submitted my draft to the editor didn't have to change anything. Now that's really special.
That is.
That the editor kept the integrity of my work. I mean, yeah, there was no editing really. And I was like, wow. But I will give credit to all the time that I spent priming, writing to anything, really. Yes. I was writing poetry, I was writing about my day, I was writing about things in my past history, how it links to the present. I could be responding to a quote or a book I read, but it's something that you're constantly doing. Like, it would be hard, and I think it would be daunting if I were to just go up and say, hey, Jenifer, I want you to write a book. And if you haven't been writing or anything, you'll be like, oh my gosh, that's kind of a big, scary thing.
Right, yes.
But if you've already been writing a lot already, because I will say that in my book, there's elements that were in my blog post, and I just pieced it together into a beautiful story. So
that's really amazing, the way you were able to like practice your writing through all of these little things and then because you had already written about it, you were able to just take from that.
Yeah.
And just make it a whole thing.
Yeah. It's like a chemistry class, right? You have all these different ingredients. I've already made all these other posts and blog posts and things, but it was quite another to take from here and take here a pinch of this, an ounce of that, and put it together into a story ready for the published world, right?
Yes.
Because blog posts, they can be messy. They may not be perfect. You might have a lot of typos in there.
Yes.
But once you get into a published work, that's like polished,
yes,
right?
That's different.
Yeah.
You also mentioned a business.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, that happened. It was really interesting because I never thought of myself as a business person in school. I was just really shy and really wanting to stay close to just the technical space. But when I was going through a hard time in the job market and I was saying, well, what else can I do to stand out? I was working at the Walmart as a cashier at the time. And I was applying to all these jobs, and I was like, how am I going to get from point A to point B with no prior experience? That might be the question a lot of students get, right?
Yes, I think so.
It was hard to move forward, and I can't tell you how many conferences I attended and things, but I started to look for networking groups online, and so there's groups like Meetup and Eventbrite and other things, and I found a group of women who were getting together for business networking, and I was like, well, I might as well learn like another skill set in addition to the foundation knowledge that I got here in school. I don't know where it might take me. It's definitely outside my comfort zone, but I definitely can learn from these women who are independent.
Yeah.
They know a lot about discipline and owning a business and what that would take and the ownership behind that. And something about that just really intrigued me. So I met a woman who introduced me to like an amazing travel company, and I was like really blown away by it all. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. And she invited me out to another event, and that's the thing, to always remain open, right?
Right.
And she invited me to this larger event where I get to meet the greater community of business people. And I remember talking with a gentleman here, and he was like making, golly, I don't know, he was like a millionaire or something, but I had no idea. He was just so humble, right? And I told him how I'm not sure if I can do this. And he was like, well, Saw, are you just interested in just improving? Like, are you interested in just progressing and doing better each day? And I said, well, yeah, I can do something like that.
Yeah.
And at that point, I realized that sometimes you don't always have it all together. I learned that I can learn as I go. And so I ended up investing maybe a marginal amount in this business. It was like skin in the game.
Of course.
And it was around the time where I was looking for work, but it helped me expand on my ability to communicate. It expanded on my ability to look at my finances in a whole nother way. It helped me understand that there's something outside of just being an employee, and understanding that while it's great to have a job, it's also great to have financial freedom and flexibility and time. Yes. It seems such a huge endeavor at first. I feel like I might be straying a little bit away from the question. But a little bit about this business. So it is a lifestyle organization, and there are many different business representatives in this group all over the world, actually. It's big. And we're actually preparing for our launch in Las Vegas in October. But it's a lot of special deals on luxurious travel, making it affordable. There's premium skincare, amazing, from the Dead Sea, and phenomenal new age nutrition. And I learned a lot about nutrition, how it impacted my body. And it's interesting how I learned all of this outside of the school setting. And that's the thing to realize, that once you graduate from school, there's so much that you can learn outside of it. There's so much to build upon the knowledge that you currently have.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that for about 5 years and sharing this with others. And it's amazing because now I've connected with people that I never dreamed of. Like, I've met some amazing producers and entertainers. I have like a Tejano entertainer on my team who had like Tejano Entertainer of the Year. And I met people that I never would have imagined meeting through my business. And it's been exciting and it's been really cool. And so we host events every Tuesday. Actually, after this, I'm going to be going off to a business event. Scusi's Italian restaurant where I share with others what we do. But we also meet at another one of the business ladies out in the Dominion in her home, where she helps mentor new business leaders. She owns an amazing school called Aquatots. She has like 4 schools. She's a franchise owner. And she teaches kids how to swim. And so she gives us little nuggets to think about when owning a business and helping it be successful and thriving. So that's a little bit about it.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't know if you mentioned the name of the business.
Oh, Aquatots. My business. My business is called Viago. And it's funny if you broke it down linguistically. Linguistics, via is let's go, Viago. I think it's mixing Spanish and English together. So it's really, really exciting.
That's really cool. Do you have any shout outs, any things you want to give?
Oh, gosh. I have so many shout outs. I wanted to thank a lot of my professors here in the school. So I have Dr. Osmaldi, who was in my information security class. Dr. Vanaha just broadened my understanding of the world in cyberspace. I want to thank the librarians for just helping me get into the groove of studying and succeeding and just booking out the rooms. And golly, I just remember Christina Dominguez. I don't know if she'll be listening to this, but she helped me get connected to all the student activities. Oh, and Clarissa Tejada. Yeah, she helped me with the career space. I just have so many people to thank and a lot of students to thank. So I just feel like it took the whole village of Texas A&M to bring me where I'm at today. So
that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I think you were really right when you said you can really grow on campus, but you can also keep growing after you graduate.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Any other questions?
I think I'm done. But it was great meeting you, and I loved hearing about your story.
Thank you. Thank you, Jenifer, for the opportunity. I will see you guys soon.